Okay, everyone. I am Nick Baldwin, your host. I have another host here with me as well, Stacy Sauls. Hello, Stacy.
Hey, Nick, let's get this party started.
Yeah, we're excited to kick off the Anti-Influencer. The Anti-Influencer is a podcast that came from my disdain for the flashy lifestyles that entrepreneurs are putting out there into the world via Instagram and TikTok. I just think that it's an it's a not necessarily an unattainable life, but I think it's in many cases an unrealistic look and life at what entrepreneurship is really like.
I love it. So, we'll be talking with agents that have organically grown their business from the ground up with hard work, working smarter, hopefully not harder, right? And not posing by those flashy cars.
Yeah, we're talking to people who, sure, they use social media, but it's not to preach and talk down to others who aren't doing necessarily what they're doing. I feel like wealth whispers, and that's another reason why we decided to jump in onto the anti-influencer. And today's guest is definitely someone who falls under that category. She leads the Kim Rock Group with Keller Williams Realty, and her team consists of 6 agents with 3 administrative staff. They serve Pennsylvania and New Jersey, my home state. So what's up? She holds a marketing degree from Penn State. She started in sales and marketing before transitioning to real estate in 2007. I got into real estate in 2007. She had owned investment properties at that point, so she decided to jump into real estate. And she is ranked number 1 in her office and top 1% in the country. And she is also a top 200 agent at KW with nearly 200,000 agents total in that entire company. She's also in Gary Keller's top mastermind, which is pretty awesome. So she gets to be in the same room with GK, and we love that. So Kim Rock is here, everybody. Kim, so hold on a second. You did all of these things without Instagram, without preaching on Instagram about how early you wake up in the morning?
I am not a morning person, so no one wants to hear what time I wake up in the morning. You should hear my house at 8 a.m. It's like me rolling out of bed, the kids all like frantic. Oh my gosh, let's get breakfast on the table. Forget it. Eat in the car. We're on our way to school. Where's your homework?
That is my morning routine as well. So thank you for saying that. Stacy, you have little kids too. That's got to be somewhat what you go through every morning.
I do. So, our little girl gets up early and wakes all of us up. And then she gets mad because she's ready for school and we're rolling out of bed. Yep.
Wanted to have you on because I feel like, you're so unassuming. Like, we've met in person, like you're kind of shy, you know what I mean? Like you're I feel like you're a little bit on the quieter side, but I don't know. You could be a crazy party animal for all we know. But can you just start off with, telling us your story of transition from sales and marketing to real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of a fun story. I went to school for marketing, like you said, and I was working for Comcast in their regional marketing office. And I was always interested in investing, even as a child. Like I would take birthday money and have my parents buy stocks and things like that for me. So I got really interested in investing early on. And in college, even, I got interested in investing in investment properties and got in with a group of people who all bought shares in a home that they then flipped. And there was a bug there. But I didn't think I wanted to do it as a career. It was more just I'm interested in investing, for my own purposes. So a couple of my friends got their real estate license because they were working a commission sales job and they were approached by a broker, hey, get your licenses. We were all in college at the time. And they asked me if I wanted to get my license. And my initial reaction was real estate. Like, that's like used car sales. That's for old men. I'm a 20-year-old, girl in college. Why do I want to get my real estate license? So I did not get my license when they did, but they did. And then they started telling me about properties that would make good rentals. And I was like, well, I'm interested. So I bought my first rental property when I was still in college from one of my friends. And then I started thinking, wow, this is fun. I really like to do this. So maybe I'll get my license, not to actually sell real estate, but just so I don't have to bug my friends to show me houses, nights and weekends. I'm sure they have better things to do. So I got my license, and it just kind of organically, like it was that time of my life, right after college, friends were getting married and they were buying their first house, and they knew that I was involved in real estate. So they'd be like, well, can you sell me a house? And can you list my house? And so I started just doing it on the side for fun. And then it got to the point where it just kind of started rolling, and I realized I was torn in two directions and I couldn't commit my time to my actual full-time job anymore. So at that point, my husband and I weren't even married yet. We were engaged, and we didn't have kids. That was all off in the distance. And so I thought, all right, I'm going to take the leap and I'm going to go full time into real estate. In my first year, my goal was just to make a fraction of my salary at my full-time marketing job. And by year two, I had blown that out of the water and never looked back.
I love that you said you jumped in it, and, like, this is fun. I'll just do this for fun. And then you're like 2 years later, this is fun making all this money.
And Evan, I mean, we didn't even have Instagram, did we? Or did it just come out?
Facebook just came out, I think.
Well, Facebook was still for college students, I think, at that point.
Yes.
But there definitely wasn't an Instagram. And so the whole influencer thing wasn't even a thing at that point.
No, not at all. And so ask me when I actually got an Instagram account.
When did you get an Instagram account?
Literally 2 years ago. I don't even have a TikTok account.
No, but I love that you're saying that, because there's so many people out there and people who are probably listening saying, listen, I'm all about, if you want to create content, you want to put good messages out there, but it's not going to make or break your business. So where does a majority of your current business come from?
It's all primarily just networking, sphere of influence, past client referrals, community relationships. And then there's a big chunk that, because we do have a lot of listings, our sign calls and just organic, inquiries on our listings, of course. But most of it is network, community, and sphere based.
Do you put agent referrals in that same category, or is that a separate?
I would put that in the same category. Yeah. The personal connections. So I lump that all together.
And so how do you keep in touch? How do you create those personal connections? Because a lot of people listening are probably like, well, social media is the way to do it, right? So how do you guys typically do that?
And I think there's a big difference between the social media that we do and I do. The funny part is my Facebook account is actually very much on lockdown. If I don't know you, you're not my Facebook friend. It's not a public profile like the business pages, but that's not really where the bulk of the business comes from. I'm actually a very private person. I have 2 small children. I don't want to plaster my kids all over the internet. There's creepy people. So if I don't know you, we're not Facebook friends. There has to be some kind of personal connection before I even let you in there. But remarkably, a lot of business comes from Facebook, because if I do have some kind of connection, I will add the person.
Facebook is full of authentic connections and relationships. Exactly. And that's where it's coming from. Okay. I'm taking notes as you talk. I just think you've got a lot of good nuggets for us.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. Hey, so speaking of, since we're on the social media topic, there is a lot of false imagery, I think, of the way the real estate industry is portrayed. So how do you think real estate industry's focus on social media influencers affect, the perception of success in the field? Do you think that it's sending the wrong message? Do you think that it's showing, because real estate has an 87% failure rate within the first 3 years or something along those lines?
Well, it's hard because you don't know what's real and what's fake on social media, So someone can post 1 million listings. It doesn't mean they're even their listings. They might have never listed a house, but they're posting everyone else's in their office, listings. And the average consumer doesn't know that. That's the one thing I love about, Gary Keller is, someone once told me that before you get put up on stage, at an event like Family Reunion, or even added to the private mastermind group, he's looking at your P&L. So you're not a big phony who is bankrupt and saying that you make millions and millions of dollars in real estate. Because that is the problem with social media.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we talk about GCI. which is gross commission income. And you see a lot of agents flaunting that, which, by the way, GCI means nothing because it's not necessarily take home. It's what you're netting that really counts. And I heard that now for mega camp, well, recently in the last several years, unless you're profiting over a certain percentage, then you're not going to be on stage with Gary.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's how it should be, because the people that say, oh, the team grossed $3 million, but did you spend, all those ads you took out and billboards on the highway,
Right. Love it. So funny. It's so true.
So you've achieved remarkable success without being an actual social media influencer in real estate. What is your perspective on building your career based on your personal connections, traditional values, and all of that?
Yeah, so that is really the biggest thing to us and to me personally. It's those connections with the clients. Like, we love to love on our past clients. My husband will laugh because I'll get a phone call and there'll be someone going like, can you recommend a dog sitter? My husband will be like, why are clients calling you about a dog sitter? What does that have to do with the house you sold them? And I'm like, it's because we want to be like the go-to expert in the area. It's not just a transaction. It's like, I am your lifelong, Rolodex. Or a client actually just had said to me recently, what did she say? Something like, who needs Google when you have you? Like, I'll just come to you and you tell me where to go to dinner. Who should I have as a dentist? What school should I enroll my kids in? But that's really kind of like our big thing, is just the connections with the past clients. And we really focus a lot on past client events. But we thought, well, why don't we invite the whole community? So this past year, we did a bunch of events, like a women's self-defense class. We did a women in business headshot event, family movie night for our community, for the township. And we did the Super Mario movie, things like that for the whole community, that are just like completely, no cost to the person in the community. Come have fun. Like, let's, bring things to you, classes and events and things like that.
I got really excited. I think you hit the nail on the head about why we're doing this podcast, right? Because so many people are posting a pretty photo on Insta to get people to come directly to them. And instead, you're using your authentic relationships. People are organically coming to you through your events. You're the resource for everyone. So instead of you having to reach out and call to check in, they're calling you, asking you questions. You're having great conversations, keeping the relationship instead of the awkward touches that we do on a normal 36 touch plan, right?
Exactly.
That's where your marketing background comes into play, I would assume, because marketing is about attraction.
Yeah.
Lead generation is about going out and getting, whereas attraction is marketing. If you're doing marketing well, people are going to be drawn to you, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, I agree. And I hate picking up the phone, so it works out, because now it's
yeah,
like they're calling me. I'm not the one bugging them.
So you're in Gary's personal mastermind, and that's a room that only 100 or so people get to be in every year.
It was always a goal of mine to get into it, and so I was like really tracking, like where you had to be to qualify. And then once I qualified, then it just became, I never want to be kicked out. So I'm just always hoping I'm at the bar to stay in.
So tell us, something profound, an insight or a lesson that you've learned from either the man himself or just being in that group and being around so many cool, like, successful people. It could just be something that you learned from just someone else, because, there's hundreds of people in that room. So it's not just Gary. I mean, I think the value, sure, Gary is part of the value, but I also think
the value is the people.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's, and I love that Gary did that too, because he's always about being around people that make him better. So he feels that the people in that room are making him better, and he's getting to decide who he wants to be around.
I mean, the people are just incredible. Like, it's just mind-blowing incredible. Like, I would never go anywhere else. Like, as much as I've been approached by other brokerages, that is the reason, one of the main reasons I stay, is that group of people. You're not going to find that anywhere else. And to be able to just pick their brains, or, create a quick mastermind around a topic, and everyone's so willing to help. You post something and literally the top people in the entire company will be texting like, hey, want to jump on a quick call about what you just posted? And it's like,
That's
oh my
so
God.
awesome.
But to your point about like, if there's anything I've learned, I actually do. I feel like I do have something that I've learned, and it's kind of the statement of like progress, not perfection. And just, because I was always the type of person that was like, I wanted to get everything done and it needed to be done perfectly. And like, so I think being in that group has allowed me to just learn that as long as I'm making a little bit forward, like the 1% better every day, that is good enough. And that's, should be enough for me. And Gary one time said, that like he will pack in the morning, like the first few hours of the day, he's focused and, gets his stuff done. And even if the rest of the day goes to crap, like it's still a successful day because he had that time that he focused, for a few hours or whatever. And so I kind of took that to heart because it's like, if I can just make my like top 3 priorities for the day, focus on a few things, get the day off to the right start, accomplish a few things, even if the rest of the day just goes by the wayside and is a mess, you're still moving forward. And so I guess the, point being not to be as hard on myself as I used to be, and just, seeing that progress over time and being okay with it.
Yeah, I love that because so many agents think of excuses to not. They're like, well, I can't do that because it's not perfect yet. Or I can't execute that because it's not perfect yet. And I feel like, first of all, we know there's never going to be perfect, but the progress is going to get you closer to perfection over and over. And that's the whole thing with lead generation, right? Like knowing what to say. The more you screw up on the phone, the better you're going to do on the next call because you're going to know not to say what you just said before because it was really bad. Stacy's the lead generation phone expert.
I don't like talking on the phone either, though. So I use different ways, but that's a whole different podcast. Okay. So, Kim, I think people are listening to this and they're thinking, okay, that's great and all. She's top 1%. Good for her. Well, what about me? How can I get there? Right. So this is what I
They
wrote.
are.
I think sometimes we think, oh, it's unattainable. You called yourself a small fish in a big pond, but let's be real, you're a big fish, right? And so this is what I wrote down that I feel like sums you up. If I'm off, let me know. But you're humble, resourceful, efficient with your lead gen. You have a marketing strategy in place, collaborate with others, surround yourself with winners, and what you do every day is make sure you are 1% better.
That's good. I'm
Wow,
gonna need
you've been paying
like
attention.
write my resume for me.
That's some good stuff.
That's, so if you think it's unattainable, okay, like look at what Kim has that, a lot of our listeners probably have the same things too. Might be missing a marketing strategy. That's okay. Pick up the phone and call Kim, right? Make a connection and collaborate.
Kim's like, wait, who's going to call me?
Hey, grow that agent network. Yeah.
No, I think that's great. That's Kim in a nutshell right there. Given your significant achievements, the quiet, impactful way you build your career, you're so close with your sphere of influence. You don't accept people into your world unless you know them or have met them personally. So how do you think that, correlates? It definitely correlates to your success, but how do you think it looks versus, the social media platform type connections that people are trying to make that way?
Well, it's the lasting relationships, it's the things that aren't going to just fade away. Especially, when you think about social media and the algorithms and stuff, like someone could be relevant one day and then all of a sudden Facebook could literally decide to just not push their stuff out anymore. And if they're relying on that, then it could all be gone in a snap. I actually had a moment of panic like 2 years ago because my Facebook got shut down for something. And I heard these horror stories, like once it's shut down, you never get it back. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? You think in that situation, like I still have those personal connections, but the person who like lives on Facebook and, doesn't have any of those personal connections, if their account got shut down tomorrow, they might go out of business. Yeah.
I think that's a very important, and I talk about this a lot too. Like, I don't want people thinking, oh, but Nick, you're always talking about Facebook. I love social media. Don't get me wrong. I love authentic social media.
Yeah.
I love real social media. I love when it's not just a highlight reel. I love when we talk about our struggles and when we talk about things that we're trying to overcome, our failures. I'm not saying that it should be all, tears and crying. I'm saying that life isn't always hunky dory. And when you hear people on social media saying, "Oh, it's so easy to make $1 million," that is just such the worst message to put out there into the world, because if it was so easy, we'd all make $1 million, in a year or two. And in case you're listening, if you're listening and you don't hear Stacy, it's because something happened to her computer and she decided to quit. No, she'll be back.
I am sure there's so much I'm missing. I mean, I think about that all the time with my profile being private and not accepting every friend, but there's like a trade-off where too many might be too much, and I might not then be able to continue to develop those personal relationships.
I think what you're doing is foolproof. You know what I'm saying? Like, social media, while it's great and fun and entertaining, it can get you attention. It isn't foolproof, because, like you said, the algorithm can decide to ban you at any given time. You could go viral one day and then never go viral again, and that causes people to get depressed and wonder whether they're doing things right. Whereas you're very close knit, you're community based, you're people first, and that, like I said, is never going to go out of style. That's a trend that's just going to keep on trending.
My goal has really kind of morphed into, like, it's not about me and my business anymore. It's about the team members and their lives and their businesses and the impact they can make on clients and the impact that, the business is making on their lives. So really my focus is just building them, building their businesses, their pipelines, and just building the brand. I like a year or two ago, I kind of changed, and I don't even refer to myself as like a me anymore. I'm just a we. It's less about me and my sales and my clients, and it's the team, it's the brand, it's us. We're a we, not a me. So my goal is really to just build my team members' lives and their sales and their clients and their impact on their clients' lives, as well as the team in general's impact on the team members' lives.
I love it. And to obviously stay in Gary's top 200.
Yes, and that's always a goal.
Number one right there. Well, Kim, thank you so much for being here for our first episode. It was a pleasure, and you're humble as always. Stacy had a connection issue, so she's not here anymore. So now I need a new co-host. But we will see you on the next episode of The Anti-Influencer. Have a great day. Oh, I forgot the most important thing. Like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, leave a review. Do it, because we got to grease the algorithm wheels. All right, everyone. We'll see you later. Have a good one.